So lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV World News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight. Biomedical Union of Zambia threatened to protest for non-payments. PF dispels claims that it depleted the treasury and accumulated hidden debt. Women's movement welcomes the first female speaker who has a bone to chew with retirees. And in international news, Africa youth hit hard by COVID-19 lockdowns and downturn. And in sports news, Zambia prepares for first ever African Deaf Football Championship.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Pondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN 096 296 5883. For Airtel 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
Hello once again, another news in detail. The Biomedical Union of Zambia, BMUZ, has given the Ministry of Health a 6-day ultimatum to pay salary arrears owed to biomedical scientists and technologists deployed during the third wave of COVID-19 in Zambia. Speaking to Camnet News, BMUZ President Daniel Mwimbe explains that with funding from the World Bank, about 80 laboratory personnel, among other medical personnel, were deployed to various parts of the country for a 3-month period, which is nearing an end. Mr. Mwimbe says the deployed personnel have only been paid for a month and threatens that failure to pay them will leave room for chaos. He has further called on the Ministry of Health to work towards giving them permanent employment, stating that none of them should not be allowed to become unemployed after the 3-month period. More in this report.
Zambia's third wave of the coronavirus saw unprecedented numbers of positive cases as thousands were diagnosed positive with the virus nearly on a daily basis in the early stages of the third wave. During this time, the country's health system was overwhelmed and medical staff fell short to cater for all those who were in need of medical attention. At the height of the pandemic, the World Bank pumped in a total of $24 million United States dollars to help Zambia in fighting off the virus. After receiving funding, the Ministry of Health deployed medical personnel to various parts of the country on a 3-month contract to cushion the medical staff deficit. The Biomedical Union of Zambia has demanded payment for biomedical scientists and technologists who were deployed during this time. Union President Daniel Mwimbe states that the deployment was from July to September 2021, but that only 1 month's payment has been given, while some were not given full payment for the said 1 month salary.
We want Ministry of Health to come out clear. The same way they came out clear on the support, we want them to come out clear in terms of where they have taken the funds and why they have only paid for 1 month. When you look at the way they have been handling even the funds themselves, we have too many people that are involved, too many departments that are involved. One is being done at ZNPHI, the other one at Ministry of Health, the other one. This is just bleeding room for misapplication of funds. But if they cannot clear the arrears for the other month, when do they then process the gratuities at the end of the contract? So
he has further given the Ministry of Health a 6-day ultimatum to pay up.
They need to make that payment. We demand that payment. We have worked for that money. Our members need to be paid. Otherwise, we don't want to cause a lot of chaos. But if they don't attend to our needs, then they will bleed room for chaos That's just the way it is.
Low cases of the virus are now being recorded in the country, indicating a nearing to the end of the third wave. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Finance Minister under the Patriotic Front government, Dr. Ngandu, has dispelled claims by Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema that the PF administration left hidden debt while it was in power. Addressing a media briefing in Lusaka Friday, Dr. Ngandu has further challenged those claiming that the PF government had hidden debt to explain how much is involved. The former minister says the PF regime did not leave empty coffers to run government operations. Meanwhile, PF Vice President Given Lubinda says Zambia collects a lot of tax through various means to be declared bankrupt. We have more in the following report.
During an interview with the BBC, President Hakainde Hichilema described as horrifying the extent of corruption and theft of public funds that took place under the Patriotic Front administration. President Hichilema claimed that they inherited what he described as an empty treasury and that people were still trying to make last-minute movement of funds which are unauthorized. But this statement could not go without a response from the former ruling party. Friday, 3rd August 2021, former finance minister under the PF government, Dr. Ngandu, faced the cameras to dispel the claims. Dr. Ngandu says the PF did not leave any hidden debt.
There is no benefit if you are trying to restructure your debt. There is no benefit in hiding that debt. It makes no sense because, as I said, if you hide the debt, you declare a lower amount, your restructuring will be based on that lower amount. That lower amount, restructuring that lower amount will not restore your debt sustainability. So the answer to your question again and again is that as far as I'm concerned, there is no hidden debt. We did not, when we were in the ministry, attempt in any way to hide any debt. And I would very much like to see what this hidden debt is. I mean, they're talking about it. Nobody has come up with the number. At the end of the day, they will have to explain who the creditors are, how much was owed to these people that we have hidden. We are all waiting.
The former Bank of Zambia deputy governor stated that the treasury was equally not empty as alleged by President Hichilema.
So, I don't understand what they're saying there. And also, if you remember, I mentioned that when the coffers are empty, you will see the signs of those coffers being empty. Government operations will come to a standstill. I think I explained that, and Honorable Winda also indicated that. I think the statement is about politics. It's not about facts or reality. It's about politics. And we would like them to clearly indicate what they mean by empty coffers. Because I said earlier on that I'm not sure I understand what it means by empty coffers. Let them explain that. And let them explain how they are managing to keep the government machinery operating as it is operating right now.
Meanwhile, Patriotic Front Vice President Given Lubinda says provided the UPND administration inherited empty coffers, Parliament would still not be opening next week because there would be no money to pay parliamentarians. He says eyes are on the UPND and their campaign promises.
Had he inherited empty coffers, would he have said that he's opening Parliament on the 10th? Where is he going to get the money to pay all those parliamentarians? He's going to pay those parliamentarians because there is money that he's going to use. Zambia Revenue Authority overperformed. They collected much more than the budget for 2021 provided. How can they possibly say the coffers are empty? And yet, on the other hand, the tax collector is saying we have collected more than we anticipated. The truth of the matter is that they have even more money than they should have had. Let them use that money to make sure that they deliver on their promises. And number one promise is free education for our children. Yes, the Zambian head, and that's why they voted for them. The Zambians are tired of paying school fees. So starting now, no school fees because ZRA has collected more than they were supposed to have collected. There is extra money available to their disposal. They must not hedge at all.
Beyond the contention, it is not a secret that economic recovery is what the country needs to focus on to get things right. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The United Party for National Development, UPND chairman for special duties, William Banda, has accused a named former Patriotic Front minister of illegally obtaining bags of maize and fertilizers from the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit. The said bags are believed to have been stored at Revel Executive Lodge in Mtendere compound. Mr. Banda, who stormed the named lodge Friday with police officers, says investigative wings have a duty to unearth dubious crimes that were being committed by the said minister, whom he refused to disclose. Meanwhile, the owner of Revel Executive Lodge, Raphael Lessa, has refuted allegations that the said maize and fertilizers belonged to someone else and that they were obtained from DMMU. We have more in this report.
Police officers from Kalikiliki Police Station Friday afternoon, in the company of UPND chairman for special duty William Banda, stormed at Revel Executive Lodge in Mtendere compound, where it is alleged that a named former Patriotic Front minister has kept disaster management and mitigation unity fertilizer and bags of maize.
Where the people from Mtendere can come and get. That's all.
But now, if I put to Mr. Lesarat, according to what I know, when those people who received the distribution of meal, I'm aware of them, 5 of them are there to testify that they got this meal during election period.
On that one I'll dispute, because during election period, nothing came at my place.
However, upon arriving at the scene, the man who claimed to be the owner of the lodge, Mr. Raphael Lessa, refuted the said allegations and claimed to be the owner of the maize and fertilizer and claimed to have bought the said from dealers.
This one was bought from the dealers, which was taken to, I think when the fertilizer, even the record is at Simon Moss.
No, we just want to find out from you.
It's tricky for me to be answering.
Which dealers were you buying the fertilizer from?
I can give you the documents if that's what you need.
Yeah.
I have the number.
Yeah.
I bought these empty bags from Soweto. The guy who brings the empty bags is there. So this is why I'm asking.
But if I tell you that this is from DMMU, not a long time ago, you were distributing meal from here.
Yeah, now
that meal also you bought it from the dealer. Which dealer did you buy that meal from?
Who is saying I was buying meal to distribute? Who is saying that? You're supposed to ask me what happened with the meal that was frauded here. And then I give you reasons. Why was it frauded? These guys had no capacity of a warehouse where they can fraud for the people from Mtendere.
Which one?
The councillor and the whole team. They were the ones who were in charge of the distribution, not me.
As tempers became high during the confrontation, Mr. Lessa told Mr. Banda that he was going to take legal action against him.
The situation,
yes,
to prove that no, these things belong to Mr. Lessa. So me, I've just come to see, but we want other people to come and prove to you, Mr. Lessa, that these things are not, they are from you or from DMMU. If they are, then other people will take it over from me and from you.
No, you were not supposed to involve the police before you get the facts on the ground.
No.
These are premature investigations that you are doing.
No, I know that.
Especially for a genuine businessman.
No.
I'll take legal action against you.
Take it.
Meanwhile, Mr. Banda told Camnet TV News that the maize and fertilizer stored at Revel Executive Lodge should be investigated because Mr. Lessa is not the owner but is being used as an agent.
That was a center for meal, bags of maize, fertilizer from the government, which somebody became an agent for the election purposes. So now people, part of those community members who are receiving these things, they have seen these things are there. And it is my duty to physically check. Yes, I have seen the things. But the only thing is now I cannot take them myself because I don't have the power of the law.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Situkule Consortium has called for the full implementation of Cap 16 of the laws of Zambia. The law, which stipulates that all members of Parliament, Cabinet and Speaker of the National Assembly should make annual declaration of their interests assets, liabilities and incomes 30 days after their first date of appointment and 30 days after every anniversary year for accountability purposes. Speaking to Camnet News, Zitukule Consortium Executive Director Nicholas Piri says the low compliance levels among officials in the last 10 years leaves limited room for public resource management accountability. Mr. Piri adds that the full implementation of this law will put the country in a better position to fight corruption. We have more in the following report.
During the past government, citizens were alarmed by some politicians who seemed to have amassed sudden wealth which they did not have before assuming government positions. Some are also on record allegedly boasting that 2 million kwacha is of little value to them due to the wealth they have. Others also acquired costly helicopters valued at millions of kwacha, which further increased suspicions from citizens and stakeholders. Reports from the Financial Intelligence Center (FIC) and the Auditor General's report have been revealing alleged corruption activities amounting to millions of kwacha. The Zitukule Consortium says there should be full implementation of Cap 16 of the laws of Zambia, which stipulates that members of parliament, cabinet, and Speaker of the National Assembly should declare their interests, assets, liabilities, and income 30 days after their first date of appointment and annually after that for public accountability. Research conducted by the Alliance for Community Action, another civil society organization, for the period 2016 to 2019 shows that only 2 out of 29 cabinet ministers were compliant with the law in declaring their assets. Speaking to Camnet News, Zitukule Consortium Executive Director Mr. Nicholas Piri says there needs to be full implementation this time around in order to actualize the fight against corruption.
As the government is settling down and seriously engaging in curbing corruption, this particular piece of law, the Ministerial and Parliamentary Code of Conduct, must be fully implemented.
Mr. Piri states that no official should be afraid of declaring the assets if they have good intentions.
But in addition, we would like to propose that not only should the declaration of assets be limited to the ministers and parliamentary officers, but should also be cascaded even to other office bearers in the civil service, including the permanent secretaries and other key public officials.
The country is currently going through swearing in of various officials as they position themselves for service under the new government. Zipora Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Private Security Companies Association of Zambia is optimistic that the new administration will address the poor security working conditions that are faced by its members. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Camnet News, Association President Francis Mkoka has charged that his association has been seeking audience with then Minister of Home Affairs on the implementation of the security statutory instrument, but to no avail. Mr. Mkoka says the instrument will ensure better working conditions for the security officers in the private sector. And Mr. Mkoka has congratulated the newly appointed Inspector General of Police, Remy Kajoba.
Things that we want to put in place. Also, to make sure that the working condition of this poor guard is also looked after. But how do we improve the working condition for the poor guard? It's by having this SI. And we have been pushing for the SI for the past 7 years, you can imagine. We hope the European government will have a different approach to the associations or the people's need. We want to congratulate the newly appointed IG, Mr. Remy Kajoba, so that maybe he can also harmonize. As you may not aware that the association structure of the association is we have the all structure executive, and we picked the office of the deputy IG operation as a patron of the association.
Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has urged the newly elected Zambia's first female Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, and her deputies not to take advantage of the law as was the case in the past. Speaking during the approbation ceremony at State House Friday afternoon, President Hichilema says Speaker Muti is now the new head of the legislature and should know that the office she has acquired is to serve the public and make life easier for Zambians. The head of state has further appointed former Gwembe Member of Parliament Attractor Sangano as the first Deputy Speaker and Luangeni Independent Member of Parliament Frank Moyo as the second Deputy Speaker. And the non-governmental organization Coordinating Council NGOCC says the new government should continue with the trajectory of ensuring that there is equal balance in the appointments. We have more in this report.
The country has yet again made another history after the announcement of the newly elected Speaker of the National Assembly. Prominent lawyer Nelly Muti has been elected as the first woman Speaker of the National Assembly and was declared winner after she went unopposed. She takes over from another lawyer, Patrick Matibini. And former Gwembe Member of Parliament Attractor Sangano has been elected first Deputy Speaker, and Luangeni Independent Candidate Member of Parliament Frank Moyo has been elected second Deputy Speaker. And the Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has urged the National Assembly to make laws for the people and not against the people.
For the first time in the history of this country, we have a female Madam Speaker. I think that's a huge achievement for the country. No matter how independent we are, we work as a collective to serve the people of Zambia, to make laws for the people. Maybe not to attempt in future to make laws against the people. We have seen this in the past. I want to be specific. Zambians know that sometimes that house has been used to make laws to block citizens from enjoying their rights. We do not expect of this team to do that.
And the non-government organization Coordinating Council says the government must continue with the progressive trend of promoting gender balance in all appointments to strategic decision-making positions.
I'd like to appreciate His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema for acknowledging the value of including women in decision-making positions. We are optimistic that this new administration will continue with this progressive trend of promoting gender balance in all appointments to strategic decision-making positions. So far, most of the appointments inspire hope for the Zambian women.
Despite many welcoming the appointment of the newly elected Speaker of the National Assembly, the opposition Patriotic Front seem not to be in agreement as they now accuse the ruling government of bending to destroy democracy.
The UPND government has broken a long-time settled practice of choosing presiding officers. What the practice has been in the past, it has been the spirit of inclusiveness, where political parties, both the ruling and the opposition, are given a chance to elect one of the presiding officers so that there is inclusivity. But what we have seen now is that the Speaker is coming from the UPND. The first Deputy Speaker is also coming from the UPND. And the second Deputy Speaker is coming from the UPND. Yeah, so it's really unfortunate that the UPND government is bent on destroying the democracy that we fought for.
The newly elected Speaker of the National Assembly served as chairperson of the Anti-Corruption Commission from 2002 to 2006 and as the Commissioner on the Constitutional Review Commission of Zambia from 2003 to 2005. Miriam Kaemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Voluntary Separation Association of Zambia, VISAZ, has received the appointment of Nelly Muti as the Speaker of the National Assembly with reservation. Association National Secretary Siachoke Simeza says Ms. Muti still has unresolved issues with retirees who went on voluntary separation over her illegal deductions on their money. More than 2,800 retirees had sued Lusaka lawyer Nelly Muti, accusing her of deducting more than 51.5 million in legal fees without their consent, allegations she strongly denied. However, the state later dropped all the charges after the case collapsed with just 2 witnesses, leaving retirees dissatisfied.
The first instance, Ms. Mutis was arrested in criminal issues, and the Nore was entered. So meaning she's not cleared from that criminal issue for embezzlement of government funds which are meant for the retirees. Then on the issue of unlawful deductions, she has not refunded us whatever money she deducted. Then the same issue, because she had pledged that she will go for taxation. Then when she did go for taxation, there was an appeal against a decision, with which appeal is still pending before Lusaka High Court, Court of Appeal. So on us retirees, on our personality to know her, we are happy, but we still have issues with her. We need our money. What we know is about 52 million plus interest.
Former Luapula Province Permanent Secretary Major Ben Perry says the high number of shopping malls in the country does not indicate development. Speaking to Camnet News, Major Perry says this is because the majority of shopping malls are not owned by local Zambians and that most commodities are imported from outside the country. Major Perry has since implored the United Party for National Development UPND government to prioritize the setting up of factories in the country. He says this will allow the country to have predictable income, which will help with proper national planning and contribute to creating employment opportunities for citizens.
Instead of us buying fire tenders, for example, why can't we bring people from Bangladesh? Look at Mugush Textiles. The structure is there. Everything is there. But bring in the machinery so that we begin to make these garments. And when you make garments here, again, we tap on the availability of our defense advisors in countries like Angola, in Namibia, in Congo, DR. We tell them we can make garments, we can make uniforms for the army. So this is not a sign. You should not gauge the economic growth on the basis of how many malls that you see, because they are being used now as sales outlets for goods that are processed outside. So that's where the value chain is emphasized. If you take cooking oil, for instance, surely even cooking oil we have to import, honestly. Where are we? What are we doing about it?
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. A youth activist and accountant, Mwape Musonda, has called on Republican President Hakainde Hichilema to consider reviewing the taxation policy on motor vehicle importation so as to encourage Zambians to buy brand new cars and reduce carbon emissions in the country. Mr. Musonda says tax on brand new vehicles should be lowered or zero rated to encourage people to acquire brand new vehicles, which will not only reduce carbon emissions but improve the quality of cars on the roads. The activist notes with concern that only a few Zambians can afford to buy a brand new vehicle, among them those holding big positions in various companies. He explains that revising taxes will also attract more companies that deal in brand new vehicles to set up branches in the country, which will lead to price reduction due to increased competition.
If we go to the tax calculator, the tax table, which was released in 2019, which we are currently using, you'll find that tax on a sedan vehicle that is 5 years old, more than 5 years old, is about 22,000 kwacha. The 1,000 cc motor vehicle, taxation will be about 22,000 kwacha. But compared to the one that is less than 5 years old, you find that the same car, the tax will be around 34,000 kwacha. The difference of about 12,000 kwacha, which is huge. And this is the reason why most Zambians opt to buy used vehicles or second-hand vehicles as opposed to buying brand new ones. And also you will see that because of this tax regime, there have been a lot of companies, influx of companies that deal in second-hand motor vehicles. That's why we are appealing to the new government to consider changing this tax policy, this tax regime. They should lower the tax on brand new vehicles or even zero rate them so that they can encourage more Zambians to acquire brand new vehicles. This will lead to the reduction of carbon emissions on our roads and also improve the quality of the cars that are on our roads. And by doing so, you find that even the change in the regime will also encourage companies that deal in brand new vehicles to come on board and set up branches in our country. And this will ultimately lead to a reduction in the prices of the vehicles that are on our roads.
The Zambia National Marketeers Credit Association, Zanamaka, has advised marketeers across the country not to relax in the fight against COVID-19 in their work premises. Speaking when he distributed COVID-19 protective equipment to 3 markets in Kanyama compound of Lusaka, Zanamaka President Mupila Kameya says COVID-19 still remains a threat to businesses in the country. Mr. Kameya says the fact that COVID-19 deaths and positive cases have reduced in the country does not entail that the pandemic has ceased to exist. We have more in this report.
The reduction in the number of COVID-19 positive cases and deaths in the country have seen many people relax in adhering to the preventive guidelines. People can now be seen moving around without wearing face masks, not social distancing, as well as sanitizing when entering premises. While marketplaces have continued to attract large crowds due to the nature of the places and the services offered, the Zambia National Marketeers Credit Association Zanamaka President Mupila Kameya says COVID-19 still remains a threat. Mr. Kameya, who took time to visit 3 markets in Lusaka's Kanyama compound, has also distributed COVID-19 preventive equipment. Mr. Kameya also took time to sensitize the marketeers on the dangers of relaxing their adherence levels to COVID-19.
I think in the meantime, over 2,000 marketeers here will begin to receive this. It's not only for the marketeers. Now that Kozangalete ntenda sindi momweka bamene bakula chivemba vakamba chuwe ndeuletenje wakasayangula makamaka vazimai make sure basi kwa nini muyanga bana batu bazukuru batoza ntenda kumpeleka kunyumba na ndalama tilipeza simwame so tentigulizane tukonke malamulo ya bova.
And marketeers at Chavuma Market are happy that they have for the first time received COVID-19 preventive equipment.
For the first time wantinambira market yatu ndiye kuyamba katarandirapo mpase hand sanitizer na ma face mask tikuyamikirani napano mtotita empower okutupasa ko ndrama tuteko boost business yako tutipambeko kana mbapa saipe kuno na wenango watanga na chitu itofuna kana ko ma groups na market yena tikuyamikirani ziko.
It has been a long time we've been suffering. Now that you are here, I know that a new dawn has come. So, yeah.
Meanwhile, the country has in the last 24 hours recorded 3 new COVID-19 related deaths from Eastern, Northwestern and Southern province. The accumulative number of COVID-19 related deaths now recorded to date therefore stands at 3,611. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambia Association of Gynecologists and Obstetricians has charged that it is disappointing to note that maternal deaths caused by unsafe abortions have remained high in the country. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka, ZAGO President Dr. Swebi Macha says the safe abortion laws in the country are very clear and that the young ones should familiarize themselves with the law. Dr. Macha says no lives should be lost due to unsafe abortions and has advised the young ones to seek counseling from experts before considering carrying out any abortion. He says the best way to avoid an unsafe abortion is through abstinence, which he says should be the #1 agenda on the list of all school boys and girls.
You are aware that adolescents make up 25% of our population, so they are quite a big group. These are 11 to 19 years. And it's in this same group that we have 30% of pregnancies occurring. And these pregnancies are usually called teenage pregnancies. So 30% of pregnancies are due to people below the age of 20, teenagers. So we felt that we needed to target this group to make safe choices. Top of the list is abstinence, to advise the young people to focus on their careers, school. Then we also focused on them seeking health care in youth-friendly corners for the older adolescents. Very few numbers who may not abstain who need correct information on their reproductive health system.
A humanitarian organization has underscored the need for the country to develop policies aimed at enhancing access to education, shelter and proper living conditions for vulnerable children in the country. Mothers Without Borders country director Josephine Daka says despite several challenges, her company has remained resolute to safeguarding the plight of orphaned children by meeting their basic needs through the help of stakeholders. Ms. Daka made the remarks when she received a donation of blankets and other assorted items from Marco Polo Tiles through the company's corporate and social responsibility program.
Just like many other countries, in Zambia, there are many children who have been deprived of their childhood. According to Save the Children, at least 7 million children worldwide have their childhood stolen. The major reasons included poor health, conflict, extreme violence, child marriage, early pregnancy, malnutrition, exclusion from education and child labor. Mothers Without Borders, located in Lusaka West, offers children found living in child-headed households, sexually or physically abused, abandoned, or lost an opportunity to be in a family setting with adults who will mentor and encourage them. Friday, 3rd August 2021, children were graced by a donation from Marco Polo Towels. According to the company's human resource manager, Clara Monga, she says the move is aimed at giving back to the community in which it operates from.
Well, when you look at our society, I think most people that need help are the vulnerable ones. So that is why we were prompted to come and make this donation to the vulnerable ones. Quite all right, we can make donations elsewhere, but when we just assess who needs help in the community, these ones here need it more than anyone else.
The children are happy that the firm came on board to help alleviate their challenges.
We are so excited that we have aunties and uncles around us who love and care about us so much. Indeed, you have put a lot of smiles on our faces just to see you here. We are so grateful for the big donation you have brought us. This will take us a long way. Thank you very much.
Mothers Without Borders country director Josephine Daka has hailed Marco Polo Towels for supplementing their needs.
Share by Marco Polo is very, very humbling. Occasionally we've had people from the corporate world come through, but not so many because we are so far out of town. A lot of people don't know us, they don't find us. So it's an encouragement for the corporate world because these children are not ours. We're out there just offering a service, and the more people come on board, the better services that we can offer to these children. So we appreciate this gesture from Marco Polo. It's the second time that they've come, and every time they've come, they've put a lot of smiles on our faces, and mostly they show the children the love that they have for them. It's an encouragement for them, so they know that there are people out there that care for them as well.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Chief Chitanda of Central Province has filed his defense in the Lusaka High Court, responding to the allegations that he is illegally installed as Senior Chief Mukuni Ngombe. This is in a matter in which Chief Liteta of Central Province has sued Chief Chitanda for allegedly holding himself as Senior Chief Mukuni Ngombe of the Batemboshi clan of the Lenje-speaking people. The traditional leader has also sued Chief Chamuka, known as Morgan Ngulube, in his capacity as chairperson of the Electoral College of Batemboshi Clan Royal Chiefdom Council. However, Chief Chitanda and Chief Chamuka have told the Lusaka High Court that Chief Chitanda was legally installed as Senior Chief Muguni Ngombe, the 6th by the Batemboshi Royal Clan Chiefdom Council, and that at trial, Chief Chamuka, who is the chairperson of the Chiefdom Council, is ready to testify in court. Chief Chitanda states further that he was duly elected and installed by the congregation comprising Senior Chief Munokalia Muguni, himself, Chistenes Mungole, Chief Chamuka, Chief Ngabwe, and the complainant himself, Charles Mulando, who is former Chief Liteta. He has stated that the plaintiff was part of the decision made by the Chiefdom Council as he participated in the council's decision, therefore cannot cry foul simply because his hopes of being elected turned out to be misplaced. The National Union of Technical Education Lecturers and Allied Workers, NUTULAO, has applauded President Hakainde Hichilema for the pronouncement that he will prioritize skills training and development for youths across the country. NUTULAO President Emmanuel Mwila says the president, who made these remarks during the interview with BBC World Service on September 1st, 2021, has demonstrated political will to improve skills for the youth. Mr. Mwila has further encouraged youths to take advantage of the conducive environment being created by acquiring skills. He has since appealed to all technical education, vocational and entrepreneurship training authority TVETA institutions to review curricula and enrollment criteria to accommodate more youths in attaining practical skills.
Very happy to see that the youths are sponsored, given the knowledge. We do not want a situation where, like previously, you are given a 300 kwacha and you do not know how to use the 300 kwacha. Why should you be given monetary capital before you are given the skills of how to use? So we need to do the exact opposite of what it means. First, get the skills, know how you're going to use the money, even if you are given 1,000. Appeal to management boards in these institutions, the TVET institutions, to take up this mantle and begin to enroll students up to their capacity. Okay? They should be able to fill those classroom spaces. To the government and through the Ministry of Higher Education and would-be appointed minister, I think this agenda will be found at the table of the minister and his team. And as union, we'll be knocking on their door to say, okay, there was this agenda which the president wants to see it into fruition, and we'll be very happy to see that the youths are sponsored, given the knowledge.
Zamtel has handed over a brand new Range Rover to a lucky customer, Kelvin Bandela, in the Win a Range Rover campaign, which was launched on the 12th of May 2021. Speaking during the handover ceremony Friday morning, Zamtel Chief Executive Officer Sydney Mupeta says the impressive growth in internet users in Zambia speaks to the immense opportunities that the information and communication technology ICT sector holds to advance the country's socio-economic development. Mr. Mupeta has since revealed that the institution plans to double its customer base to 7 million subscribers in the region within the next 2 years. We have more in this report.
With an active subscriber base of around 3.7 million, accounting for under 20% market share, Zamtel has assured its commitment to support the new government's ambitions in transforming Zambia into a knowledge and digital economy. With the upgrade of its equipment, Zamtel has projected doubling its customer base to approximately 7 million subscribers within the next 2 years. Speaking during the Range Rover handover ceremony, Zamtel Chief Executive Officer Sydney Mupeta highlights some of the key elements in advancing the company's objectives.
The impressive growth in internet users in Zambia speaks to the immense opportunities that the ICT sector holds to advance the country's socio-economic development. In line with the ambitions of the new government of transforming Zambia into a knowledge and digital economy, Zamtel is uniquely positioned to contribute to the envisioned digital revolution. Zamtel has developed digital solutions aimed at driving automation and digitization in various sectors of our economy, such as our venous hospital management system, our cancer management system, and electronic payment gateway, among others. We therefore stand ready to partner with the government and the private sector.
As a way of appreciating its customers, Zamtel Friday officially handed over the brand new Range Rover to Kelvin Bandela, a winner in the Win a Range Rover campaign, which was launched on 12th May 2021. Mr. Bandela has since thanked the company for the gesture.
I wasn't believing yesterday when they were calling me, Kelvin, you are the winner of the Range Rover. I was thinking maybe they are joking. So they told me again, you know, I can't believe this.
The Win a Range Rover campaign closed on Tuesday this week and was co-partnered by Alliance Motors. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We'll take another break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money for MTN 096 296 5883, for Airtel 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325, Stanbic Bank, Kablonga branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Welcome back, and now we look at international news. The future looked promising for Tinashe Maparanga, an intern at a leading bank in Zimbabwe, who appeared set to get a staff position as soon as he completed his college degree. Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Amid the lockdowns, the 24-year-old was one of the first to be laid off and has no idea when he will be able to get his degree because of frequent school closures. Maparanga spends most of his time at home tending a tiny vegetable garden that is the family's main source of food. Here's a roundup of global news.
Across Africa, many people like Maparanga in Zimbabwe are battling the economic downturn caused by COVID-19, losing jobs and seeing their education disrupted. Maparanga spends most of his time home after being laid off from school. It tends to a tiny vegetable garden that is the family's main source of food.
The lockdown was imposed in, I think it was the end of March 2020. We were forced to go home since they were trying to limit the number of people at the workplaces to contain the virus. So this really affected me a lot in my studies as I was looking to gain more experience in the banking part.
Tadiswa, a Zimbabwean student, said not only had the pandemic affected her studies, but it had also impacted her family's income, with both of her parents' jobs affected.
I'm supposed to write my exams this year in 2021, but last year I didn't even learn. I only learned for 1 month and it really affected me. And as for my parents, they can no longer go to work. My father is a bus driver, so he can't cross the border because the borders are closed.
The pandemic increased the already high level of unemployment according to the preliminary findings of the second annual Africa Youth Survey. Nearly 20% of the 4,500 respondents said they became unemployed.
Positive aspect is that a lot of the people who lost their jobs actually went into the informal sector to find employment and create revenue. So these people are not sitting waiting for other people to solve their problems or for the jobs to come back. They're going out there and they're making a plan.
In 2020, about 40% of those surveyed expressed optimism about the future. The pandemic dented that confidence, lowering it to 31% according to the survey.
In this small town of Debach in Ethiopia's Amhara region, 16,000 people displaced by recent fighting have made it their home. As fighting in Africa's second most populous country, Ethiopia, has spread south from its epicenter in Tigray, so has the humanitarian impact. Amhara militias allied with the federal government forces have been battling advancing forces aligned to the neighboring Tigray region. As you can see, it is in this muddy place they stay. It is in the rain they stay. They don't even have a bed to sleep on. We have sheltered them in 3 centers, as their situation was urgent. Schools are closed during this winter season, so they are divided in schools. We have assigned for them coordinators so that the terrorist groups doesn't get close to them. As we came here, there were a lot of dead bodies along the way. We have seen the dead bodies of the Ethiopian Defense Forces and also of civilians who were killed accidentally. The Ethiopian and Amhara forces thought they killed them, but killed one another. We have seen so much suffering on the way here. even as we entered the Bach after completing the Le Malino route. The Tigray forces say the offensive is an attempt to break the month-long blockade of the region of some 6 million people.
Needed vaccines arrive in Australia's New South Wales state as it marks its worst day of the pandemic, with a record 1,431 new COVID-19 cases and the most deaths in a day at 12. The 500,000 Pfizer jabs arrived in Sydney, the country's largest city. The shipment came from Singapore in a swap arrangement. Australia will deliver the same amount back to Singapore in December. A similar deal has been struck with the UK that will bring 4 million more Pfizer vaccines to Australia this month.
The next fortnight is likely to be our worst in terms of the number of cases, but as I've said, it's not the number of cases we need to be focusing on, but how many of those cases end up in our intensive care wards and hospitals, and how many people we have vaccinated as quickly as possible.
More than half of Australia is under a stay-at-home order. Along with Sydney, Melbourne and the national capital Canberra have been in weeks-long lockdowns. And in New Zealand, some progress in its battle against the outbreak fueled by the Delta variant, a large drop in new cases from the previous few days. Taiwan received its first shipment of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines this week, 930,000 out of 15 million doses acquired by a tech company and a charity. Political pressure from China has made it difficult for Taiwan to strike deals directly with vaccine companies. Beijing views self-ruled Taiwan as part of its territory. The recent deal was made with a China-based distributor after months of negotiating. Scott Heidler, Al Jazeera.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, Zambia has won 2-1 in its first World Cup qualifier match against Mauritania. Zambia was leading by 1-0 in the first half, scored by Enoch Mwepo, and secured a second goal in the first few minutes of the second half, scored by Prince Mumba. Mauritania got one back through Amadou Niasse in the middle of the second half. Zambia will be playing its second game against Tunisia on the 10th of September 2021 on home soil. Preparations ahead of the first ever African Deaf Football Championship to be held in Nairobi, Kenya have commenced. In an interview with Camnet Sports, National Deaf Football Association head coach Patrick Kasoka says only 15 players will participate in the forthcoming matches, hence appealing to government to sponsor the association with resources. More in the following report.
Preparations ahead of the first ever African Deaf Football Championship to be held in Nairobi, Kenya have commenced. A check by Camnet Sports found the national deaf football team making selections ahead of the matches which will take place from the 11th to the 25th of September 2021. The national head coach, Patrick Kasoka, says the association has only managed to secure 15 slots for the players that will be participating in the tournaments.
National Sports Council, within their means, they only managed to raise something that can only take 15 players. It is a situation that I think, even when I'm talking about it, it's not Zambia Deaf Sports Federation board to blame, but it's the budget itself. The National Sports Council could only afford something that can take 15. Now you imagine you are going for a national tournament, you are carrying 15 players. Where has it ever happened? A tournament is a tournament that will have so many teams, with games being played from a moment to a moment. But then there's also room for fatigue, room for injuries, room for natural sickness. How do you, as a good coach, work on 15 players at a championship like that one? We are leaving it to God that the 15 players that we are trying to struggle to get from these selections will just have to believe in themselves, that they are carrying 18 million Zambians who are expecting good results and honors. But absolutely, I should be the first person to give an excuse why the boys cannot bring honors with the number that we are carrying.
And the association president, Miluva Mutemwa, has called on the government to sponsor the association.
This is not the first time that we are going out. Even last time we went in Namibia and we lost. We did not lose, but we came the third point. So we believe that if we go out again, we can continue doing the best. We only need the support of our people. the support is not there, then people cannot do well. If any other people, well-wishers come in, we can do great things for Zambia. We are begging of the support, not only from the government, but from any well-wisher, anyone who feels they can support us. We are Zambians also. If we don't hear, we don't listen, it doesn't mean that we are not Zambians, but we are Zambians. This national team that we are making will represent the Zambians. We are going to Namibia as Zambians, so we promise not to disappoint the Zambians.
Meanwhile, one of the players participating in the selection has given out his views ahead of the tournament.
I feel our team here who are training, and we have been planning very well. I feel we need more so that we can be planning even more clearly. We need to thank God for us for this opportunity, and we need people to support us. Even our president, the new president, we are begging, we are asking for your support. I'm happy for the team, and I'm happy that I'm traveling.
25 potential players have been drawn from 4 provinces, namely Eastern, Southern, Lusaka, Central and Copper Belt. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
To end Camnet World News, we take a look at the top stories again. Biomedical Union of Zambia threatened to protest for non-payment. PF dispels claims that it depleted the treasury and accumulated hidden debt. Women's Movement welcomes the first female speaker who has a bone to chew with retirees. And in international news, Africa youth hit hard by COVID lockdowns and downturns. And in sports news, Zambia prepares for first ever African Deaf Football Championship. The Camnet World verse of the day is coming from the book of Joel 2, verse 12 to 13, and it reads, "Even now, this is the Lord's declaration. Turn to me with all your heart, with fasting, weeping, and mourning. Tear your hearts, not just your clothes, and return to the Lord your God. For he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, rich in faithful love, and he relents from sending disaster." My name is Jeffrey Ziambo, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.